What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Howdy, my name is Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read SCP Foundation. I almost said Let's Read Homestuck, that's a different series. In the last episode, we read about the homunculus and these other few things before it. And this one we're going to start with, what is love? Which is right here. Okay, so it's safe, apparently. 31 is to be contained in a standard humanoid, cross that out, containment chamber located in Site-77 safe SCP wing. Now, why is this sending us to Site-77? Founded. Partial list of anomalies that are there. I'm not going to read all the way through this, I'm just going to scroll. Medical, containment incidents. Yeah, well, I'll see those when I get to the ones they happen. But anyway, personnel interacting with 31 are not to view it directly and communicate with test subjects through an intercom test system installed in each chamber. The containment chamber is to be cleaned once per week, by custodial staff wearing opaque goggles to mitigate SCP-31's effect. SCP-31 is an amorphous organism with a mass of 75 kilograms. 31 is able to move at a pace of 3 kilometers per hour and leaves a trail of oil when it moves. Is that motor oil or skin oil? It is only capable of rudimentary physical movement. Testing of recovered tissue samples has shown that 31 is at least partially composed of human muscle and epidermal tissue. 31 is capable of reproducing human speech in any pitch or tone, although it is not currently known how SCP-31's biology produces them. Subjects directly perceiving 31 will see it as an individual the subject knew and had a romantic attraction to at some point in their past. When made aware that it is being observed, 31 will claim to be this person, and that they have been left destitute by some event in their past. 31 will use this to attempt to persuade the subject to allow it to stay with them for an extended period of time, until it is able to return to a stable situation. This effect applies to all persons who view 31, and research has not determined an upper limit to the number of persons who can be affected by 31 at the same time. After inspecting the residence, 31 may attempt to start a romantic relationship with the subject, and if successful, it will begin living in their home. Several cases have been documented where 31 began to actively affect more than one subject at a time, eventually having a nest containing between at least 18 different hotel rooms containing subjects with some form of relation to 31. 31 was recovered following contradictory police records taken after a riot in Redacted. Multiple subjects reported wildly contradictory views about 31's appearance, and initial civilian units were also affected. However, wide distribution of amnesiacs and inhaled tranquilizers pacified all affected subjects, and MTF Psi-7 was able to recover 31 from the condemned hotel it had taken residence in. As of November 16, 1958, 31 has been classified as safe. Addendum. Research has determined that aromantic subjects are not affected by 31. However, all of these subjects will report 31 as being a small, plumped humanoid figure with specific figures being obscured by dark smoke emanating around the entity in the shape of 31's body. Further testing is required to explain this phenomenon. Further testing has shown that the perception subjects affected by 1937 are similarly affected. Okay. Why do I feel like I already knew about that one? I don't know. Anyway, now it's time for Brother's Bride, which is Euclid. Let me just do a quick Google search and see if I can remind myself how dangerous Euclid is. Well, at least now I know Euclid's an actual thing. But let me, Euclid SCP. This video describes all of the more common SCP object classes: safe, Euclid, Keter, Thamiel, neutralized. Okay, so apparently Euclid is right after safe. So Euclid is what it could have been safe, but isn't quite safe. Not going to watch that whole video though. Here we go. Just shoot us back on over to the wiki. Euclid class are anomalies that are either insufficiently understood or inherently unpredictable, such that its reliable containment is not always possible, but do not pose sufficient threat to qualify for Keter. and then Keter are the ones that are dangerous. Interesting. I'm gonna bookmark this somehow. Yeah, let's just put it on the whole damn toolbar. Done. Okay. 32 is to be housed in an automated containment unit 53515. Direct contact with 32 is to be restricted to research-relevant tasks only. Interviews, if deemed necessary, are to be carried out using the unit's remote communication array. While 32's presence is not directly harmful to the human body, exposure to it is to be limited to periods of 12 hours or less, due to its adverse effects on most beneficial microorganisms. 32 was not to be exposed to any biological material not refined or otherwise tempered by humanity, with an emphasis on non-human living entities. For a full list of classifications, see Document 32 RCL, Riffle. 32 neither requires nor requested substances or other forms of comfort. 32 was a Type F imperfect external resemblance internally inconsistent human simulacrum of currently unknown origins. Now it's time to find out what that word is. It is, get rid of that, a representation or an imitation of a person or thing. It's a phony! Okay, so it is composed of an outer shell of pigmented silicone 5.5 millimeters thick and various plastic fiber polymers with the outward appearance of a Caucasian woman nearing the 3rd decade of life. What was this, the Broom's Bride it was called? Brother's Bride. 32's interior is composed entirely of liquid refined oil, lacking any skeletal or muscle structure. Isn't that what 31 was? But 31 left a trail of oil. Does that mean 31's leaking the innards of 32? Because still don't know what kind of oil. It just says liquid refined oil, but it could be motor oil. We don't know. Despite this, 32 is capable of locomotion and speech. 32 is capable of maintaining the illusion of humanity at a moderate distance, but becomes unconvincing at a closer range, causing mild discomfort in most observers. This effect has been deemed non-anomalous. Despite apparently possessing fully realized cognitive abilities, 32 claims that it is not sapient, acting only as an intermediary instrument of its creators. The Foundation has not been able to verify or refute this claim as of yet. 32 possesses extreme adverse effects to any biological entity in its close vicinity not created, willfully influenced, manipulated by, or similarly relating to humanity. While the exact nature of these effects varies, 32's presence inevitably causes severe and irreparable damage to the ability of any living organisms to exchange and or use energy. Wild flora loses its ability to produce photosynthesis, or otherwise produce or consume energy, fauna the use of its respiratory and digestive systems, etc. This applies to microorganisms as well, though 32's effects seem to favor damage to their reproductive systems instead. It is hypothesized that the symbiotic relation some microorganisms have to humanity is the reason for this discrepancy. Okay, so if 32 touches plants, they stop being able to do things plants need to do. If 32 touches animals, they die. Okay? 32 was discovered sitting on the doorstep of the inner compound of Foundation Site Blank, near Blank, Slovakia. When questioned by Foundation security personnel, 32 explained its anomalous effects and claimed it was there to be stored. Surveillance footage showed no record of the time of its arrival, and it is not yet known how 32 came to know Site Blank's location or approach it without being spotted. When asked for its reason for seeking Foundation custody, 32 replied that it was there at the command of its creator, seeking indefinite storage until claimed. Now let's check out these interviews. Note: this interview was recorded near the time of 32's initial containment by Dr. Alexander Kovac, Site Somebody resident psychologist, following his initial examination by Site Security. I'm very surprised that we actually got to find out the doctor's name this time, but let's begin. Before we begin, something I feel I should ask you, since security so often neglects doing so. It's not strictly confirming the protocol, but I find it tends to make things easier. I was instructed to cooperate. Good, very good. Tell me, then, what is your name? I don't have one. People have names. I'm not one. Is that so? What did your so-called creators call you then? They didn't. Surely they had to refer to you somehow. I am a vessel of their will and nothing else. They never needed to call. They never will. In that case, would you mind if I refer to you as SCP 32. I was instructed to cooperate. So you said. Tell me then, what is the purpose of your coming here? I'm to be stored here until collected. Security told me that much, but why here, and collected by whom? Collected by the ones they wish to torment, and stored here because in finding me he will suffer further. Is that so? Is that person you refer to part of this organization then? Do your creators bear some grudge towards a particular operative? He is not one of you, merely a one-time sympathizer of sorts. He believes you tried to help him once, and if he is forced here, if he finds me here, you will die. That will hurt him. They have no interest in any of you or your organization. You are here as a tool, just as I am. Who is this man, then? What did he do to earn this sort of treatment from your creators? He did not know his place. Won when he should have lost, was proud when he should have been humbled, was wasteful with gifts too precious for abuse. And you are here as punishment? He was already punished, severely, forced away from his kin and kind to endlessly wander to destroy against his will, to poison humanity by his very presence, eternal solitude flavored by ceaseless guilt. A masterwork of torment, they say. If that's the case, why are you here? Because even in this existence, there is the occasional moment of solace. At times, he may yet look to the world and see things he will not destroy, look to nature and feel warm wonder, and bask in the false light of ancient moldy memories. It keeps him sane, gives him hope. That will not serve, hence my presence. I am to be his last undoing, a hastening to the end of reason. And how will your presence do that? Are you meant to deceive him in some way? Is that why you look the way you do? In a manner of speaking, eventually his wanderings will lead him here, to me, in a day, or a month, or a century, and he will recognize me and see what they think of his precious memories, how they mocked them. He'll understand that, because of his actions, she is forever beyond his grasp, and all that remains to him is me. A simulacrum of as artificial as his hope. When he finds me, I will attach myself to him, and he will watch the mockery of his memories destroy his last source of solace. And that will be that. You said he will recognize you. Why? I used to be his wife. End log. Well, that's fucked up. Let's see what the second one is. This interview was held 6 months following 32's initial containment as part of a series of interviews meant to evaluate 32's cognitive abilities and personality, or lack thereof. I hate her. Well, that's certainly a way to start an interview. Care to elaborate? The one I was made to look like, my mold. I hate her. An interesting sentiment for you to have, considering your repeated assurance that you possess no consciousness or feelings of your own. I don't. I hate her because they want me to. It serves their purpose. How did you get that impression? The first thing they did after creating me was to show her to me. It's not something they often do. I don't follow. Interfere with those who pass beyond their halls. They might be vengeful, spiteful, even cruel, but they take their duties very seriously. Just to show her to me, to risk disturbing her final rest? They wouldn't do that without a purpose. And she was beautiful. So peaceful, serene, whole, even gone, even dead. I could see the essence of who she used to be, or who she still was and forever will be. Her soul. They told me she didn't get to live for all that long, but when she lived, she was herself. She was alive. And so I hated her. Do you know what it feels like to be made as a mockery? In every line of that smooth, silent face, I saw a twisted reflection of my own. Fragrant skin to molded plastic, soft hair to synthetic fiber, blood to oil, soul to nothing at all. Excuse me if this sounds presumptuous, but I can't imagine feeling like this coming from anywhere but yourself. Shakes head. Can't you see? This is all a part of their plan. When he finds me, when he sees what the brothers created just to punish him further, he'll go mad. Because of what they did to the memory of his wife? Not only that, because he'll see me. He'll see how much I hate her and how much I hate myself for not being her. Hate being here at all. And then what? Then a final realization. And what would that be? He never won. I wonder what that's about, or if it's going to come up again later. Number 33, the missing number. 3 is a magic number, but if 33 is the missing number, what is it? Well, whatever it is Euclid class. 33 should be inscribed on any single sheet of irregularly shaped and handcrafted paper, papyrus, canvas, or vellum. when not involved in active observation or study. The dimensions of the paper-like product should have no parallel borders, no right angles, and no sides lengths should be equal to any other. 33 safe dimensions. When contained in this manner, the paper-like product should be secured in a locked non-combination storage vault at least 30 meters from any computing or recording device. Logs for checkout or check-in of 33 should be filed at the minimum safe distance of 30 meters to avoid possible contamination with the paper product or electronic device the log is kept in. When removed for study, 33 can be copied to a white/chalkboard with 33 safe dimensions by Class D staff. Upon transfer to the white/chalkboard, the paper-like product that had contained 33 should be incinerated. Observation and study should take place in a secured conference room at least 30 meters from any computing or recording device for the maximum 2560-second viewing window. All observations or notes should be made on 33 safe materials. Under no circumstances should any notes regarding 33 leave the storage facility or be input into a computing or recording device. At precisely 2,000 seconds, the viewing research must stop and 33 should be transferred to a new safe paper-like product and returned to storage by Class D staff. The white/chalkboard utilized in research must be incinerated as soon as possible after the transfer is complete, regardless of whether 33 has faded naturally from its surface at 2560 seconds. Whether 33 safe procedures halt or merely slow the deleterious effects of 33 is unknown. It is theorized that the irregular borders and handcrafting by mathematically unpredictable humans somehow disrupt the logic which allows 33 to function. Okay, what is it descripted as, or described as? Descripted. Well, descripted is, I think, descripted is a word. 33 appears as a field of complex mathematical symbols ranging from simple layman identifiable representation to those only interpretable by highly trained mathematicians. The sum of the symbols is equal to a previously unknown integer, designated theta prime by Professor Hutchinson, of intermediate value between blank and blank. As all modern mathematical calculations are performed lacking the knowledge to use of 33, its introduction into any system organized without it begins eroding the numerical and eventually structural integrity of said system. This effect extends to 33's transfer to any paper-like defined as paper, vellum, papyrus, canvas, surface not possessing 33 safe dimensions, or any computing or recording device it is input into. If inscribed on any other material, 33 fades into unintelligibility in precisely 2560 seconds. In addition, 33 has shown an ability to leap from a 33 safe material to a manufactured or electronic material in which it can destabilize in at least one instance, Incident Report 33D, requiring the institution of a 30-meter safe distance for electronic devices and paper-like products without 33 safe dimensions. There is currently no 33 safe specifications for electronic storage. Blank of the blank operational research projects involving 33 are dedicated to finding such a method for electronic storage. Blank operational research projects are dedicated to the application of 33 as a neutralizing factor for potentially hostile machine logic-based SCP objects. Clarifying commentary from Professor Hutchinson follows for non-specialist staff in Document 33A. Effects may be reviewed in Document 33Q. Now let's check out this first one. Transcript edited for clarity. Every school child knows that 2 plus 2 is 4. The solid mathematical certainty of numerical order and value is the basis for all logic-based systems. We know that after 2 comes 3 and after 3 comes 4. What this formula proves is that we missed a number somewhere. Imagine if all our technology was based on the belief that after 4 came 6. We simply didn't know or conceive of 5. That is, in essence, what this formula proves. We missed a number. I can't tell you why the handcrafted vellum works best. I can only surmise that it displaces mathematical predictability in 2 ways. 1, the irregularity of the crafting process due to human error serves to eliminate any traces of regularity that will be found in a machine-created product. 2, the irregular borders seem to confuse it somehow, as if it gets locked up looking for a pattern to identify and use as an escape hatch. I'll tell you this though, I don't think it should be left for anything longer than a few days. We'll find a pattern eventually. I don't think it destroys anything. I think it tries integrating itself into our system and our system can't hold it. It's like trying to cram another book into a full bookshelf. If you get a hammer, you can get it in there, but the whole shelf bursts eventually. If it gets out into the internet, we will potentially experience a full IT infrastructure collapse within hours. Test results, Trial 33 Delta 5. 33 is inscribed onto a single sheet of standard 8.5 by 11 inch manufactured white copy paper, hereafter X1. A second sheet of identical paper, hereafter X2, placed 30 centimeters away. 80 seconds. Symbols consistent with the content of 33 begin appearing on X2. X1 unchanged. 160 seconds. The full content of 33's formula appears on the surface of X2. X1 unchanged. 320 seconds. X1 and X2 both appear wet, symbols still visible. 640 seconds. X1 is now roughly 1 part, apparently, water and 5 parts pulp-like substance, still filling an 8.5 by 11 inch flat plane. Symbols become unintelligible. X2 still appears wet, symbols visible. 1280 seconds. X1 no longer visible at all. Liquid part appears to have evaporated, pulp-like substance apparently subliminated. X2 now roughly 1 part liquid and 5 parts pulp-like substance, still filling an 8.5 by 11 inch flat plane. Symbols unintelligible. 2560 seconds. X2 no longer visible at all. Liquid part appears to have evaporated, pulp-like substance apparently subliminated. Okay, so apparently putting that on paper deconstitutes the paper back into what it's made of. Interesting. And then kills that too. Now the obsidian ritual knife. The life of the wife is ended, but how is this safe? How is a knife in any way safe? Okay, let's find out how this knife is safe. 34 is to be kept in a secure room with access granted only to level 4 personnel. 34 itself will be kept in a locked case that is under 24-hour surveillance. When not in lab conditions, 34's protected sheets cannot be removed under any circumstances. Any personnel in contact with 34 must be placed under a 24-hour observation period until their identities can be confirmed. What? 34 is a primitive knife constructed out of pure obsidian. Tests reveal that 34 is approximately 1,000 years old. Despite its crude method of construction and age, SCP-34 is still incredibly sharp and requires no maintenance at all. Expert analysis hypothesizes that SCP-34 may be of South American origin, and that it was used in Native American rituals. Several accounts from Spanish conquistadors exploring the Blank region support this hypothesis, with detailed writings on how Blank priests would flay their victims alive with similar knives and wear their skin as a tribute to their gods. I want to say Aztecs, but I don't know, because I was not alive back then. To my knowledge, I was not alive back then. 34 has the ability to allow its bearer to take on the appearance of another individual. If 34 is used to cut a piece of flesh from a living individual and that piece of flesh is placed against the skin of another individual, the second individual will not only take on not only the appearance but all physical characteristics of the first individual. Testing has shown that the minimum amount of skin required can be as little as 1 square centimeter. However, testing has also revealed that the amount of time the facade lasts is directly proportional to the amount of flesh used. The ratio of time the facade lasts to flesh use has been measured at approximately 1 hour for every square centimeter used. Once the time limit has passed, the affected individual will revert to its original form. Analysis of 34's ability shows that its method of mimicking another individual is nearly flawless. Not only does 34 change physical appearance, but actual physical attributes as well, including height, weight, muscle mass, bone density, hair growth, eyesight strength, physical medical conditions, and even DNA. Subjects still retain their original personality and memories. Even though the process is nearly instantaneous, taking only a few seconds, human test subjects have described the transformation process as extremely painful. Subjects also may suffer psychological trauma depending on the extent of their physical transformation. Side effects are especially serious if the subject takes on the appearance of a person with differing gender or with wildly different physical attributes. However, in order to function properly, the individuals who have their flesh cut by 34 must still be biologically alive to maintain the facade. Should the individual whose identity has been stolen expire, the effect immediately wears off. Further details may be found in Lab Report 34A. Also, 34 only appears to work on human subjects. Cross-species experiments with 34 have resulted in data expunged. Probably that thing that happened with Hermione and the Polyjuice Potion and Chamber of Secrets. 34 came into Foundation possession when an imposter disguised as Dr. Blank attempted to infiltrate Site Somewhere. The imposter was apprehended when authorities discovered the real Dr. Blank tied up in his home with a large portion of his right arm skinned. Further details may be found in Post-Interrogation Report 2211. Lab Report 34A. We've decided to test several scenarios dealing with the limits of 34's capabilities. Test 1. Sample taken from deceased human cadaver and applied to 452, no effect. Taken from D532 and applied to D452. D452 successfully mimics 532's appearance. Upon termination of 532, 452 immediately reverts back to original form. Test 3. Sample taken from a brain-dead medical patient and applied to subject 452. 452 successfully mimics the patient's appearance and manages to maintain the facade. Test 4. Sample taken from terminally ill medical patient and applied to 452. Patient's terminal illness was caused by an inherent genetic defect. 452 successfully mimics the patient's appearance as well as the illness. Both the terminally ill patient and 452 expire at the same time, after which 452 reverts back to original form. Test 5. Data expunged. Post-interrogation report 2211. As per standard operating procedure, we first attempted to interrogate the prisoner via non-violent and non-invasive means. However, when such methods proved ineffective, we began to implement conventional interrogation techniques. While partially successful, we deemed it necessary to use SCP blank, 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 and blank. We managed to learn the following facts. 1. Prisoner had extensive knowledge of the existence of the Foundation and its inner workings, had extensive knowledge on other SCP-related agencies, was not acting under any official capacity from any government, obtained 34 and instructions on its operation from unknown benefactor, given very specific instructions to infiltrate Site Blank and maintain its position until further notice. Prisoner had enough samples of Dr. Blank to stay within sight for blank days. Regrettably, did not survive the interrogation. Right. And last for this episode, we have the Possessive Mask, which is Keter, which is not safe at all. 35 is to be kept within a hermetically sealed glass case no fewer than 10 centimeters 4 inches thick. This case is to be contained within a steel, iron, and lead shielded room at all times. Doors are to be triple locked at all times, with the exception of allowing personnel in or out. No fewer than 2 armed guards are to be posted at any time. Guards must remain outside at all times and are not allowed within the containment room under any circumstances. A trained psychologist should remain on site at all times. Research personnel are not to touch 35 at any time. 35 must be moved to a new sealed case every 2 weeks. The previous case must be disposed of via SCP-101, as it shows no adverse reactions to 35's corruption. Anyone who comes into contact with 35 when it is in possession of a host is to be given an immediate psychological evaluation. Description: 35 appears to be a white porcelain comedy mask, although at times it will change to tragedy. In these events, all existing visual records such as photographs, video footage, even illustrations of 35 automatically change to reflect its new appearance. Yeah, that looks like it's the tragedy one. A highly corrosive and degenerative viscous liquid constantly seeps from the eye and mouth holes of the 35. Anything coming into contact with this substance slowly decays over a period of time, depending on the material, until it is decayed completely to a pool of the original contaminant. Glass seems to react the slowest to the effects of the item, hence the construction choice of its immediate container. Living organisms that come into contact with the substance react much the same way, with no chance of recovery, unlike the zombie virus. Origin of the liquid is unknown. Liquid is only visible from the front and does not emerge or is even visible from the other side. Subjects within 1.5 to 2 meters, 5 to 6 feet of 35 or in visual contact with it experience a strong urge to put it on. Don't do that. When 35 was placed on the face of an individual, an alternate brainwave pattern from 35 overlaps that of the original host, eventually snuffing it out and causing brain death to the subject. I think 35 might be Majora's Mask, y'all. Anyway, subject then claims to be the consciousness contained within 35. The bodies of possessed subjects decay at a highly accelerated rate, eventually becoming little more than mummified corpses. Nevertheless, 35 has demonstrated the ability to remain in cognitive control of a body experiencing severe structural damage, even if the subject's body literally decays to the point where motion is not mechanically possible. No effect is found to be had when placed on the face of an animal. So it's not like the mask from the Jim Carrey movie or the comic books, but it definitely sounds like Majora's Mask if that game had been rated T. Conversations with 35 have proven to be informative. Researchers have learned various details about other SCP objects and history in general, as 35 claims to have been at many momentous events. 35 displays a highly intelligent and charismatic personality, being both amiable and flattering to all those who speak with it. 35 is scored in the 99th percentile on all intelligence and aptitude tests administered to it and appears to have photographic memory. However, psychological analysis has discovered 35 to possess a highly manipulative nature, capable of forcing sudden and profound changes to the interviewer's psychological state. 35 is proven to be highly sadistic, prompting some to commit suicide and transforming others into near-mindless servants with linguistic persuasion alone. 35 has stated that it has intimate knowledge of the workings of the human mind and implied that it could change anyone's views if given enough time. Additional, 35 was found in a sealed crypt in an abandoned house in Venice in 18-something. Because of course something like this would be in Italy. Why wouldn't something like this be in Italy? It damn sure wasn't in the Brooklyn, Bronx, whatever. It wasn't in New York. I almost said the Brooks instead of the Bronx. I'm not from New York. I don't know these things. Anyway, SCP-35 has been found to be able to possess anything that has a humanoid shape, including mannequins, corpses, and statues. 35 has been able to motivate all into movement, removing the need to expose live subjects to 35. Still, anything it possesses inevitably decays into motionlessness. 35-2. 35 has facilitated an escape attempt, convincing several of the research staff to aid it in its bid for freedom. Insurrection failed. All staff that have been in contact with it have been terminated, dead, and mandatory psychiatric evaluations have been implemented for all personnel coming into contact with 35. 35-3. It has been determined that 35 is capable of telepathy, whether or not it possesses a host, even penetrating to the subconscious of others, and using the knowledge it finds to its advantage. Extreme caution is advised when choosing subjects to converse with 35. 35-4. 35 has expressed an interest in other SCPs, most notably 517 and 682. Dr. Blank has expressed worry that should 35 bond with either, their regenerative qualities would negate its corruption and give it a permanent host. 35-5. After several more escape attempts, and after reviewing 35's incident record, High Command has ordered that it be permanently sealed within the facility and prohibited from being allowed any more hosts. Several personnel have protested against this, with some even erupting into violence. As a direct result, all personnel that have come in contact with 35 have been terminated. Going forward, all personnel that deal with 35 are to be rotated frequently, and contact is to be limited even to its dormant state to as little as possible. 35-6. Personnel within 10 meters of 35 has recently reported feeling unease, stating that they can hear unintelligible whispering. Several others have suffered from severe migraines. Object has been monitored, but there is no change in its dormant behavior and no sounds have been recorded. The motion to reinstate 35's host privileges have been brought up once more, if only on a temporary basis, to discover these new changes in the object's behavior. Denied. 35-7. The walls of 35's containment cell has suddenly begun secreting a black substance. Tests on the substance have revealed it to be human blood, although highly contaminated with several foreign and unknown agents. Substance is corrosive, having a pH of 4.5, and prolonged exposure to the walls has proven to be detrimental to their structural integrity. More notably, it seems to be forming a pattern on the walls. Several segments seem to be paragraphs in various languages, including Italian, Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. Translation is pending. Other segments appear to be diagrams for depicting ritualistic sacrifice and mutilation, often for the arcane benefit of the person committing them. Several staff members have been shocked to note that all of the sacrifices bear an uncanny resemblance to various personnel and their loved ones, often in conflicting positions. Researchers, while in the room examining these newly formed patterns, have complained of hearing loud whispering and high-pitched, unnerving laughter at irregular intervals. Personnel in this section working daily near and around 35's containment unit have suffered catastrophic morale damage, with an all-time high in suicide rates in staff in that area, whether or not they have ever had contact with 35. The only change to 35's dormant behavior is regarding its contained glass case. Degradation of the case has increased to a high degree, enough so that the glass will occasionally shatter, causing a wide dispersal of 35's containment. This occurs quite often at the most inopportune times, so far resulting in 6 casualties and 3 fatalities of both research and cleanup staff. 35-8. In light of the mass suicide/homicide of the members of the research team tasked with translating the passages garnered from 35's containment cell, the morale damage in the area, and general loss of staff dealing with 35 to either death or insanity, it has been decided to coat the inner and outer walls of the containment cell with SCP-148, which has proved well in the containment of 132. See document 132-1, I'll see it when I get there. In order to hopefully block out the high levels of negativity being evaded by 35. 35-9. The use of 148 has worked well, causing morale and suicide rates to return to near pre-SCP-35 rates. However, the material appears to facilitate the negativity within the cell, causing a veritable greenhouse effect inside. Personnel inside the cell stated they feel a heavy sense of dread, fear, anger, and general depression, as well as hearing constant, nearly inaudible whispering upon immediate entry. A prolonged stay causes severe migraines, suicidal tendencies, heavy hemorrhaging of blood vessels around the eyes and inside the mouth and nose, general hostility to others, and for the whispering to increase almost deafening volumes, intersected by a constant mocking laughter. Exposure to more than 3 hours inevitably results in the subject falling into a deep psychosis and attempting to harm either themselves or others. Most spoke in Latin or Greek, despite the fact that several did not previously know how to speak said languages beforehand. The presence of blood in both word and diagram formations has increased disproportionately, the walls becoming cluttered, and the formations beginning to overlap each other. The substance has proven to be both difficult to clean and even more corrosive than was originally recorded, with a pH of roughly 2.4. General estimation gives the current walls a life of 2 months before they will need replacement. It is becoming gradually more and more difficult to contain 35, and the debate to reinstate its host privileges has once again come up, denied. 10. The wall, ceiling, and floor of 35's containment cell have now been completely saturated in blood. All personnel entering and guarding the area must wear full hazmat protection suits. Constant cleaning efforts are being instated. 3511. The magnitude, intensity, and recurrence of the phenomena that occur within 35's containment cell have increased to an alarming degree. The cell door has been known to become locked of its own accord while personnel are inside and unable to be opened for a period of time. Appendages form out of the larger puddles of blood and often attempt to grab or harm personnel near them. Blurry apparitions have started appearing to staff. Electronic devices no longer work inside the cell, and the light cannot be turned back on. Though there is no physical reason why it should not work, forcing those entering to use non-electronic based light sources. Cleaning measures are having no discernible effect on the cell, and the walls are degrading at a very high rate, forcing them to be replaced within a week at best, although the blood makes it nearly impossible to properly achieve this. 35 may have to be moved to a new cell entirely, with the old one sealed off and disengaged from the rest of the facility. Okay, so the possessive mask sounds like one of the most dangerous things on this whole damn website so far, but I am only up to 35, so it will definitely get worse. But in the meantime, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This was episode 13 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. Whack. And in the next episode, we'll read about the reincarnation pilgrimage of the Yazidi, the Dwarf Star, the Everything Tree, proboscis engineers, and probably Evolution's Child. We'll see. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Later.